Alright, welcome back. This is a review of Natsuki Takiya's series, Twinkle Stars, which she made after she made Fruits Basket. This is actually a really long time coming, so I have a little bit of extra. So I actually read this back, actually finished reading this back at the end of October, beginning of November. But due to the fact that I had my wedding, and there was honeymoon, and there was moving, I just hadn't gotten around to actually reviewing this series. Which I think in a lot, at least for me anyway, it was actually good that I took my time to be able to discuss figure out how I wanted to talk about this series. Not that I'm going to go into super detail or spoilers or anything. I mean, there's probably I'm probably only going to spoil a little bit from Volume 1. And that's only because I want to kind of get in and kind of show you what's going on. Well, a little bit. Now, I actually have my own personal history with this series, and that is that I originally read it maybe like 10 years ago or so, back when it was just purely scanlations, because the only way you could find it was via the scanlations. And I had originally gotten interested into the series because it was in Japanese at the time, but because I had seen... Oops, sorry, I don't know why I picked up Volume 1, that's not the right volume. Because at the very end of this series, there was this set of pictures right here. And pretty much everyone was going, this boy looks like a combination of Kyo and Toru. And then you would flip the page and everyone was going, oh my gosh, these two people kind of, get to focus. Yeah, these two people kind of look like Kyo and Toru. And there was some, I don't know whether it was ever officially confirmed whether or not they're actually Kyo and Toru. I'm not really sure. I just know that a lot of people were saying that, and then there was like, oh well, this story does take place on a port town, on a town by the sea, and Kyo and Toru left via boat to go to Kazuma's friend's dojo. So people were like, well, this could very easily be the same town. And so that's the original reason why I wanted to read the series. But again, they only had scanlations out at the time, and unfortunately the thing about the scanlations was that, one, they weren't very consistent in terms of when they would pop up, when they'd be uploaded. Sometimes they'd be uploaded in big chunks. But even then, sometimes the majority of the scanlations weren't very good. They were kind of hard to read. Sometimes the pictures and the text would be really, really small. Sometimes, and then the other problem would be that sometimes the chapters would be out of order, and other times there'd be just chapters missing. Like, it would have chapters, I don't know, like, let's say 53, but then it wouldn't, and it would have 55, but 54 wouldn't be there. I'm just making up random numbers at this point, because I don't remember exactly, but I do remember that sometimes there'd be chapters that'd be missing, or they'd be labeled wrong. And so it was really kind of confusing, and so I couldn't really tell you what entirely the story was completely about at the time. I just knew that this series has a very dark tone to it. And that was what my impression was throughout the entirety when I read it, and from what I could always remember of the series. It has a very dark tone to it. And then, of course, when Yen Press announced that they had picked up the collector's editions, they had also announced that they had picked up Twinkle Stars, and they released it in omnibus format as well. And so I was very excited to actually be able to read this series properly and actually be able to understand what was going on and everything. And I was also curious to see if it still had the exact same tone as I remembered it having, which, yeah, it does. It still has a very dark tone to it. So the original volumes in Japan it's 11 volumes long, and so Yen Press released them in omnibus format here when they did it. So that's 2 volumes per each, except for Volume 5, which has 3 volumes. So like Volume 4, and this is how all of them look like. Volume 4, and then Volume 5. So, you know what I mean? It is Volume 5 is a lot thicker than Volume 4 and any of the other volumes for that matter. It's really thick. Anyway, so I'm gonna, I could just read off the back of Volume 1, but I'll just kind of give you a better explanation because it's going to be easier to go into what I want to talk about when it comes to actually reviewing the series. But first, let me kind of go through all the different characters over here and kind of the different pictures it comes with. So Volume 1 has Sakuya and Chihiro, who is these two are the kind of the main characters in a way. And then these are all the little colored pictures it comes with. Right there. Try not to get the glare from the light. There you go. So that's Volume 1. Volume 2 has Yuri, who is one of Sakuya's friends, and Sei, who is the other one of Sakuya's friends. And these are, again, the different pictures that came with. And there's something at the back of the volumes, just kind of translation notes and advertisements. That's all at the back. So this is Kanade. He is Sakuya's older cousin, and I'll get into that. And this is Saki, who is one of Sei's like servants or butlers, servants, something like she comes from a rich family, so that's that. A bodyguard, maybe that might be more accurate, but it's something like that. There you go. And then you have Volume 4, which has, I don't remember what his name is because he's not really a whole lot in this series, and this is their teacher. This is like one of their homeroom teachers. And this is Yuri's older brother, which I don't remember his name either because he doesn't show up that often either. I don't remember what his name is, but this is Yuri's older brother. Pictures. And that's just a blank page. And then Volume 5, which has quite a bit more to it. Now, I actually, funny enough, I think this is actually the cover of Volume 11 in Japan, funny enough, so I think they kind of switched them around. But you have Sakuya again. You have, I don't remember his name, but this is Chihiro's uncle. He's kind of important. And then Sakura. Right there. This one has a bit more pictures to it because it's 3 volumes and not 2. Alright, so now on to actually kind of explaining a little bit of the story. So the story is about Sakuya Shina, who lives with her older cousin, Kanade. I'm gonna fix this while I talk. They live in a little house by the sea, and of course the entire place takes place in a little town by the sea. I think she's a third year in high school. They just started her third year. I guess it's summertime, or it's the very end of summer, I'm guessing. Anyway, so she goes to work. She works part-time at Yuri's grandmother's shop, like a little like alcohol shop or whatever. And as a side note, it's actually, not a real side note because it is important. It's her birthday, the day that the first chapter starts. She goes to work. And I'll get into this portion later for something else. She hears, I think, either Yuri's grandmother or one of the customers talking about how, because they see her, and she overhears them talking about how they think Kanade is like this, he's a shut-in, he doesn't have a job, he's this horrible person, he's just leeching off of her, and, he's just using her so he can have a place to live or whatever. Just, saying all these horrible things about him, and Sakia gets upset about it, and winds up. I mean, she doesn't quit or anything. She still works there. I forgot. Does she? I forget if she actually like. Oops, sorry. If she actually gets like vocal about it, being upset about that. Um, but I know she does get upset about it. I think she. Yeah, she does get a little bit vocal, not entirely, but she does get a little vocal about saying, no, he's not like that. He's just trying to take care of me. He's family. He's being nice to me. He's taking care of me and whatnot. Um, so, uh, she winds up, after work she goes home, and when she gets home, she's surprised to see, besides Kanade being there, she's surprised to see that, this guy, with this, or what you later quickly find out, or rather, his name is Chihiro. She's surprised to see that he's here because she doesn't know him, and she's like, oh, okay, so she thinks, oh, this must be one of Kanade's friends who came over to visit, and they're there, and of course it's her birthday, so like, they celebrate her birthday, and the guy even like gives her a present, and she opens it up, and it's this really pretty pink, kind of soccer pink colored dress, and she's really excited about it. She's like, oh wow, this is amazing. And so he goes ahead to go leave, and she goes, oh yeah, I'll at least walk you out of the place, walk you down the street a little bit. And as she's talking to him, as she's walking him down, she's talking to him, and he basically says, hey, I heard what's been going on with you from Kanade. You should be happy. You should be proud of yourself. You've worked really hard. With everything that you've gone through, you've worked really hard. You've done an amazing job. You really should be proud of yourself. You have friends and family who are looking after you. You should be happy. And this surprises Sakia completely because she wasn't expecting it. But she's really happy about him saying that because of something, being told that, oh yeah, you should be proud of how far you've come and what you've done so far. She's really happy to hear that because that's something that she's been wanting to hear, not only wanting, but really needing to hear, but also wanting to hear, like, for a really long time now. And you find out why much later on in the series. When we actually get her full backstory revealed, but you go, oh, okay. And so she's completely blown back by this, and she's surprised, and she's like, wow. She's like, wow. I think she might start tearing up. I can't quite remember. It's been a little while. But she's really happy about this. She's emotional a little bit, and then she basically says, hey, as he's leaving, she knows his name is Chihiro. I think that's when she finds out his name. And she's like, hey, like, if you ever want to come back, just, thanks for saying what you did. If you ever, I enjoyed our time today. You coming over. So if you want to, just come on over again, and I'll be fine. I'll be fine if you coming over again, basically. He smiles or whatever, and he just kind of walks off. And then so Sakia returns home to Kanade, and Kanade's like, oh, so did you enjoy your little walk with your boyfriend? And she's like, boyfriend? What are you talking about? He's not my boyfriend. It's like, isn't he just a friend of yours? And Kanade's like, no, he's not a friend of mine. What are you talking about? And they're both like, okay, and that's kind of where the first chapter ends. It's like, okay, what? Who is this mysterious person who just showed up all of a sudden, just so happened to give you a birthday present on your birthday, and they're both like seriously confused. And you find out from Kanade that it's like, hey, I asked this guy. I didn't just invite him over randomly or whatever. I saw him not too long after you left for work. I saw him standing there outside of the out on the road in front of our house holding a present. I thought, oh, maybe this might be Sakia's boyfriend. So he went outside. I went outside and I asked him if you were Sakia's boyfriend, and he said yes. So I was like, oh, okay. So I invited him in. So so they're now really confused as to why, who is this person, why did he give you a present, it's just this whole mysteriousness to it. And so Sakia is like, I don't know what's going on, this is really weird. And I forget if when she tells her two friends, Yuri and Sei, but she eventually, I know she does eventually tell them, but I think it's like she was curious as to who he was. She was all she really had to go on was his name, and that was it. And I think what ends up happening is that she winds up seeing him again just by chance at a train station. So she follows him to the next train. She tries to meet up with him at the next train station. This is obviously on a different day. And when she goes to do that, she meets up with him, and Chihiro has a completely different personality than the last time she met. He's like, she runs up to him, and is like, oh hey, and she wants to talk to him and like, thank him and ask him about who he is and why you give him a present. And he's like, hey, I'm not who you think I am. You thought I was being kind. You thought I was being sweet with what I said, but I'm not. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not who you think I am. Just leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. Just go away. And he just ups and disappears. He's not like disappears like vanished, but he just walks off and whatever. And Chihiro's like, not Chihiro. Sakia's like, what is going on? And so I think this is when she tells her two friends about what's going on. And so Yuri and Sei are like, okay, well, we're going to kind of go around, we'll see if we can find anyone who knows anyone by this, who fits the description or knows anyone named Chihiro, which, they don't. And of course Sei comes from a rich family and has a lot of like connections. So she's like, well, I'm going to go use, pretty much my connections and my wealth and whatnot to go investigate to see who this person is. See if I can find any information on him. And it's a good couple of days. They haven't found him at all. Maybe it's a week or so. I don't know. It's something like that. It's a while, and they haven't found him. They haven't heard anything about this guy. And like, okay, well, whatever. And so Sakia's like, well, okay. She finally just decides she's gonna give up on him. She's gonna start trying to look for him. It's like, whatever. And so, literally the day she decides, okay, she's like, okay, I'm not gonna worry about him anymore. I'm moving on. I'm gonna go somewhere else now. Do something else. Concentrate on other things. Concentrate on graduating high school and getting into college. Chihiro transfers into her school and she runs into him. And she's like, really? Really? What is this? And even then, Chihiro, he sees her and he's still like, no, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. Just go away. I don't want to have any interaction with you. And she's so confused by this because like he was so sweet before. He was so nice and so sweet to her before that he's very abrasive towards her, and only particularly her. He's not really mean to any of the other girls or any other guys. He's not mean to anyone else. It's just in particular her. He does not want to be around her. And she's like, I don't know why though. And so this is where I get a little bit into the spoilers as to, because this goes in, because that's kind of the basic plot where it's like, okay, you're trying to figure out that's basically that really is kind of the basic plot where she runs into him and he's nice to everyone else but her. And so so it's a matter of, they're trying to get through their last year of high school, and she's also trying to figure out who he is and why does he act this way and all this other stuff. I'm not gonna, again, I don't want to go too far into it because there's only one small thing I'm gonna probably, it's a small spoiler. From chapter 1, not from volume 1. And that is that, so, Sakia is she's the founder of the Stars Appreciation Club, or the SAC Club. Um, and of course Yuri and Sei are part of it as well. Just to, then they just kind of are part of it just so they can, support her in something. And basically, it's not like it's an actual like, oh, there's it's not like an actual like astronomy club where it's like, oh, they're they're where they're studying the stars and stuff like that. It's just they go out and they may go like to the top of the roof at nighttime and have a little camp out and stargaze, and they're just they're laying there appreciating the stars. It's basically what it is. It's a kind of a little quirky club, but it's whatever. So what ends up happening is that all the clubs, or I think, yeah, all the clubs can take place in like this little club like explanation thing, or kind of like recruitment type thing, where it's not required for anyone to actually come to it, any of the non-club students to come to it. It's just a thing of, oh, like the leaders of each of the clubs can come up and they'll kind of give a little explanation for what their club is about. So of course Sakya joins in on this, and she pretty much comes up to Chihiro one day and says, "Listen, please come to the little speech or whatever it is. Please come to this, please." And he's like, for initially, he's like, "No, I don't want. I don't want to do it. Leave me alone. Just go away." And she's okay. Listen, I'll do it. I'll leave you alone. I promise I'll leave you alone or whatever. If you come to the Stars Appreciation, if you not come to the Stars Appreciation, but come to the little club thing where all these different clubs gather and they explain kind of what they introduce the club to the non-club people. And so he's like, okay, fine. And so, he's there, he goes to the little meeting thing, and, she goes up and she starts giving her little speech of like, okay, this is what's going on. And she starts stumbling over her words, she starts messing stuff up, and, it just gets really chaotic and messy, and it's not pretty. And so some of the first year boys that were in there watching, kind of, they start making fun of her and teasing her, saying, "Oh, what kind of, like, you keep messing, you can't, what kind of club leader are you? You can't even, like, properly give a speech for this. You're a weird senior, what kind of club is this anyway? Why aren't you part of the actual, like, astronomy club, where they actually study stars?" They started picking on her and whatnot while she's kind of, like, halfway stumbling around through her speech. And, she kind of looks down, she kind of gets this really, she kind of gets like, she's shocked, and she kind of freezes up, she doesn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, Chihiro just like, he gets up and he like yells at the boys that were making fun of her. And then he just like walks down the aisle and he just comes over and he just like hugs Sakya, and he's like, what? He's like, don't worry, don't worry about what they said. Just ignore them. I'll be here for you. Don't cry. Don't just ignore what they said. Just, I'm here for you. Don't. He gets like this. He gets really like. He says he says something that looks like it's almost completely out of character for him, considering how he's been acting this entire time. You're going. And then maybe like a couple seconds later, he says something about like, "Oh, I'll always be there for you. I'll join the club," or something. He says something like that, like he's going to join the club. So basically, he basically winds up halfway. He basically in the end winds up joining the club, and that's why you wind up getting to find out more about him as the series goes on. But after he says this, he finally snaps out of it, and he just has like, okay, just ignore what I said, and he kind of walks off or something like that. And, but, and Sakya is once again confused because he's like, okay, he was nice to me at first, and then he's been very kind of, not necessarily like rude, like he doesn't like hit her or anything like that, but he's just been kind of like very abrasive, very like, just go away, leave me alone. I don't want to be near you, I don't want to talk to you, whatnot. And then all of a sudden, like, he sees her being picked on, and he all of a sudden just, like, rushes over and is like, don't cry, don't be upset about it, just ignore what they say, I'll be here for you, whatnot. And she's completely confused by his character, and going, what in the world is going on with him? This is so confusing. So I'll leave it at that, because after that, it gets a little bit more interesting, but I want to at least say that because it's he and there's more examples of that to where he acts abrasive and then something happens in terms of like someone says he hears someone say something or they do something, and then he'll like completely become super protective of Sakya, and it's really weird. And again, you don't find out about, and of course the thing about it is that his main the reason why he acts the way he does, you don't find out until about like I think like volume like somewhere around here, one of these technically 4 volumes, like about pretty much about 2/3 of the way through the series. That's when you find out. I think that's roughly when you find out what's going on with him. And you go, oh, okay, and you get it, or something like that. Um, Now, I will say I do recommend this series. It's definitely a very good series. I definitely do recommend it. Um, but but it is a much darker series. Especially in terms of like if you compare it to previous series like with Fruits Basket and whatnot. So, like with Natsuki Take's earlier works, with like Phantom Dream, she had issues with actually handling drama very well. Um, Tsubasa, she really learned how to handle comedy, but you couldn't really take the drama in the series too seriously. And then I don't know what happened between Tsubasa and then the Songs Make You Smile one shot, but somewhere between there's something either happened to her or she realized something, she heard something, she saw something, or so maybe something happened to someone else, that it made her click, and she was really able to start doing drama really well. Because if you read A Song to Make You Smile, it really reminds me of how Fruits Basket is, at least in terms of its tone and its whatnot. Um, and then she really learned how to really balance out drama and comedy, and learn how to do character development and really be able to do character and story and make them feel real, and not make light of anything of which was take and have these serious situations but not take light of anything that was going on, not make fun of it, but to actually take it very seriously and handle it with care. And so with Twinkle Stars, don't get me wrong, there is comedy in Twinkle Stars, but this series has has a more of a darker tone to it, and it has a much darker theme to it in particular. And that unlike, and I won't tell you what it is because it involves finding out what's going on with Chihiro, but one of the things, so with Fruits Basket there was a lot of family and family abuse, relationship type stuff. And there is some of that. There is definitely some of that in Twinkle Stars. But one of the things that Fruits Basket kind of concentrated on, it was a little bit in there, but it wasn't really that concentrated on. Twinkle Stars, like pretty much, that is its main concentration. It mainly concentrates on this one thing and all of its side effects and how it affects different people. That it doesn't really, that Fruits Basket didn't really cover. It's one of the things that, but she handles the subject very seriously, and she handles it with a lot of, very gently and with a lot of care, and because it is a very serious topic. But I can't tell you what that is because that's spoilers. Um, but it is a really good series regardless. But again, it's like she took, in terms of she really learned how to handle drama through Songs Make You Smile and Fruits Basket, and she pretty much cranked up the drama level to like way past what her previous limits were with Fruits Basket with Twinkle Stars, because this series has a much darker tone to it. And what I mean by that, this is why I'm getting back to that beginning portion in chapter 1, is that, like, so with Fruits Basket, when you think back to chapter 1, the really only kind of more dramatic thing that happened was was close to more to the end of the chapter where Tori was explaining about her promise to her mom, to Segure. But other than that, it's nothing like super dramatic or anything like that. It's like, okay, it's a little, it's definitely has its sad points to it, but there's always been, the interesting thing about Fruits Basket is that despite all of the drama, despite everything that happens, there's always been this little tinge of hope to it. I'd say that's the only way I can explain it, especially compared to Twinkle Stars, because Twinkle Stars, like that scene where she gets really emotionally upset about what's happening, about what people are saying about Kanye, like she gets really upset about it. It happens really early on in the chapter, and it's like, whoa, what is? And so it creates this much serious, much more darker tone right from the beginning. Unlike Fruits Basket, where it took a good couple of chapters for it to really start building up to that. But with Twinkle Stars, you get it right off the beginning, and so it's definitely has a lot more darker tone than Fruits Basket does. It's still a good series. I definitely recommend reading it. What else was there? The only so again, it's a great series. Definitely recommend. I can't go into detail about what specific topic that they're talking about, unlike that they didn't really cover in Fruits Basket. Most definitely cover it here. But the one thing I will mention is about the ending, is that I'm kind of split 50-50 with this series, because for me, at least not the series, but for the ending, because for me, the ending I wish could have been better. I wish, not better, because it is a good ending. I wish that there could have just been a bit more to it, I guess. But at the same time, I'm split on it, because at the same time, because of everything that happens and because of the kind of the big subject theme of this series, at the same time, I kind of feel like the ending is appropriate, and that it is, and it's a good ending. But it's like at the same time, I feel like there should have been more. But at the same time, I go, well, it kind of fits with the rest of the series, and I'm actually kind of happy with what it is. I really can't think of anything else besides that. But again, I do recommend this series. That is that in the end, though, I do recommend this series. Just know that it is a much darker in tone series than Fruits Basket. It has a very serious theme that once you find what's one the theme is the thing that it relies that you find out about it goes back to what's going on with Chihiro, and why he acts the way he does and whatnot. Um, but once you find it out, you go, oh, okay, and you kind of get what's going. You go, oh, okay, that makes sense, and it is a very serious topic, but it's something that I I don't want to spoil what it is, because it doesn't happen. You don't find out what it is until about 2/3 of the way through the series. Um, but again, so I recommend it. I definitely wanted to get this done before the new Fruits Basket anime came out. Uh, but other than that, you can pretty much pick up the series anywhere other mangas are sold, pretty much online or at a physical bookstore. If you know where that mangas are sold, there, that you can most likely find these guys. Um, but other than that, I mean, there's a couple other videos that I want to get out before the new Fruits Basket starts airing. Uh, but I guess that's about it. So, I guess just thanks for watching, and bye for now.